Video we'll discuss how you can use the CSS Calc function to create dynamically sized controls on a UX component. But before we do that, let's go back and look at how this problem would have been solved by using the flex container. So the goal here is to have three controls that are displayed in a horizontal line, where some of the controls are fixed size and the other controls are automatically resized to take up the remaining space. So you can see here that we've got a flex layout container surrounding three controls, and when we run this in the browser here, we can see that the way we've designed this is that the left and right controls are always a fixed size. In this case we've chosen 100 pixels, and that the center control is automatically resized to take up the remaining space. So you can see that as I change the width of the browser window here, the left and the right controls stay fixed at 100 pixels, but the center control is automatically adjusted to take up the remaining space. And the way we did that was by adding a flex layout control, going to each of these controls and setting their width to be 100%. And then in the flex layout we went over here and we specified that the first control was a fixed 100 pixel size. The second control was flex 1, which means take up all of the remaining space, and then the third control was 100 pixels. So while this approach is certainly reasonable and will actually work in all browsers, the CSS Calc function provides an alternative way of achieving the same result with fewer controls without having to use a flex layout container. The disadvantage is that the CSS Calc function is not supported in older Android browsers. So let's go back now and see how we achieved the same result using the CSS Calc function. So you can see here we have the same three controls, and when we run this in the browser we see the exact same effect here. You can see that the left and right controls are fixed 100 pixels in size, and then the center is taking up the remaining space. So if we go back to the builder here, we can see that the width of the first control now has been set to 100 pixels, and the width of the second control is also set to 100 pixels, and then the width of the middle control is using the CSS Calc function, and we're saying that the computed width is going to be the calculated value that results from taking 100% minus 200 pixels. So 200 pixels is the 100 pixels for the first control and the 100 pixels for the second control. So when we run this in the browser, we see the exact same effect that we got from using the flex layout container. But you can see here, if we go to a slightly more complex example, you can see when we go and run this in the browser, we've got again our controls on the left are all fixed size 100 pixels, our controls on the right again are also all fixed size, but all of the controls in the center section are expanding to take up the remaining space. And that was also very easily achieved by doing the following. We created three containers that display from left to right. So these three containers are laid out horizontally. Then inside each container we've set all of the controls inside the container to be 100%. So all of these controls have a width of 100%. These controls have a width of 100%, and this control here has a width of 100%. But the containers themselves have the fixed width. So this container has a width of 100%. This container here has a width of 100%, and then this container here has the width of 100% minus 200 pixels. So that means that anything that we put inside this container now, if we set its width to 100%, let's go here for example and go there and add text B over there, click OK, and then set its width to 100%, you can see now that this is going to stretch to be all of the remaining width, just like all of the other controls in the center portion. So here we go, and we stretch that out, and you can see it stretching nicely. So the CSS Calc function provides a very nice alternative to using flex layout containers. Thanks very much for watching.